Hello and welcome back to Cutie Girl Crochet. Today we're going to be learning how to make what I call the Gritty Beanie. They're these super cute beanie hats with a little bit of texture. It's the take on the classic crocheted single crochet beanie that a lot of us make for gifts or donation or to sell. And we're going to learn how to make them. They're super cute, super fun. Isn't this a cute hat? I love this hat. And it was kind of an accident, well, sort of accident on purpose that I made this hat, and I'm sure other people have made this hat, but I thought, I wonder if I just do single crochet chain one, skip single crochet chain one, up and down these rows, what would happen? And this is what happened. So I'm excited to show you how to do this. Okay, here we go. So our what you want to do is start with a slip stitch. I am using a size H hook, and I am just using a regular worsted weight yarn in blue. So what you want to do is you want to chain 50. You can, if you want more of a brim, you can do like 54 or so. This was 50. The length of this one was 50. So if you want a little bit more of a brim, or this, it makes a good either slouchy beanie or brim beanie, this length. So all right, that's 20. It's 30. 40. And 50. And now we're just going to add one more chain. And then what we want to do now is we're not going to go into, so there's your braid, your chain braid. We're not going to go into the top of that. We're going to flip it over, and we're going to work in these bumps that are in the back of the braid. That's for this first row. That's what we're going to be working with, is the back, is that back. So you'll see that first bump. There's a little tiny bump right at the beginning right there. We're not going to use that one. We're going to go to the one that's pretty obvious, which is right. I'm trying to show you, it's right there. That bump right there. So let me see if I can get my hook in there. Whoops. All right. And then we're going to do a single crochet and then chain one. So we're going to skip the next bump, and then we're going to go into the following bump, and we're going to do a single crochet, chain one. And you're going to do this all the way down the length. You're going to skip the bump and then single crochet, chain one in the bump. So skipping that one, whoops, going into this one. I'm trying to hold it up and do this, so it's a little bit difficult. And then chain one. Okay, and we're going to do this all the way down. We skip that one, go into that one, skip the next one. This is the hardest part of this hat. But it's not that hard. It's a little bit time consuming because you got to find those bumps. And if you didn't do a loose chain like I did, be a tiny bit more challenging. So we're still skipping the bump. My yarn has ended up getting caught somehow. So I hope everyone is doing okay. My husband and I just got back from a weekend at Cape Disappointment, Washington. It's in the southern corner, kind of sort of by the Oregon-Washington border. And that was a lot of fun. It was actually not as fun as we wanted it to be because it was pouring rain and gale force winds. But it was nice to sit in the RV and listen to the storm. And we did get out for one afternoon. We went down to Beard's Cove and wandered around there for a while. And we went down to a beach called Waikiki Beach, which is where that cove is. And we also went to a beach called, I think, Benson Beach. And I don't know, just took a lot of pictures and enjoyed the ocean. And so that's what I've been doing. Of course, I always bring a crochet project with me. My next video after this one is going to be on how to use a crow hook. And some people don't even know what that is. But that's going to be my next video, so I'm working on that project. All right, I kind of counted wrong or did something wrong, so I'm just going to go ahead and just put a single crochet in this last stitch. It'll work out fine. And then chain one and turn. So you can kind of see how a little bit of a gritty pattern is starting. That's why I call it the Gritty Beanie, because you kind of see where it's got these bumps on there now. Usually when you do just a straight chain, you don't have those bumps. So what we're going to do now is we're going to single crochet chain one all the way down in the back loop only. And I don't know if you can see, but there are two raised stitches right there. I go in the back loop between those. So you go in the first back loop from your hook, single crochet chain one, and then I skip that first bump right there and I go into the back loop between the two bumps, single crochet chain one. So you can see those, you can see the bumps. They're really obvious. They're there. So I skip that little bumpy loop stitch there, and I single crochet chain one. Skip that. I just go between them, and you're going to do that all the way across. Single crochet chain one, single crochet chain one, single crochet chain one, So for this row is much easier. All the other rows are much easier. This is, I'm sure someone else has done this pattern. I was just thinking of something simple and easy to do, make an easy hat while I'm traveling. I'm really having a challenge with my yarn here, not being my friend. So, and I thought, well, what if I just put a, I'd never done it before. It's like, well, what would happen if I put a chain stitch in between single crochets? Oh my gosh, I love how it turned out. I just love how this turned out. It's got a lot of texture to it, and it's just, I just loved how it turned out. I did it in a couple other colors too. I did it in a variegated, I'll have to show you in a second, but I want to get this row finished. So again, we are still just going in between those stitches with the bumps in them and doing a single crochet, chain one in the back loop. And we're getting towards the end here. So we'll single crochet, chain one, and turn. And then we're just going to repeat that row until we get as many rows as we need for the width of the head you're making it for. You can, when it's 50 stitches or whatever it ends up being, it's good for kids too, because they can have a brim on it. You can make it for smaller people with smaller heads. You can make it for people with bigger heads. So it just depends on how big their head is. So the width is going to be determined by who you're making it for. If you're making it for just kind of general public, let me see how many I did. So it looks like I did 60. So I did 60 rows to make that width, which is kind of, it can be, it's a pretty, oh, I'm gonna have to zoom out. It's a pretty big size. You can see the size of my hand. So it's pretty decent size. So all right, so back to the project. I've chained one, so now I'm going to go back through those two kind of bumps, and you do the back loop, single crochet, chain one, single crochet, chain one, and that is it. You'll get to the end, you chain one, and you turn, and you do it all over again until you reach however many rows you need. So I'm going to work on this through the evening, and I will come back and finish it up. Okay, I'm just finishing up my 60th row, and when you're making these hats, you should do them in multiples of 2, like, you know, 50, 54, 58, 60, and you want to make sure that you end on the opposite end of where your beginning thread is. And also you want to make sure that you end on a row that's facing down, not up. If it's an odd row, you'll be facing up. Like this is the 59th row and it goes up. And this is the 60th row and it faces down, because that's what you want, because your first row is also down and you want both your beginning row and your ending row to be facing down. So now what you want to do is you want to turn your work to where both these sides are now facing up. They're up. And the reason why we did there was a reason why we went through the back stitch in the beginning, so where we could make this nice braided edge, because it makes it easier to join this hat. There was a reason to do that. So what we want to do is we now just want to slip stitch into that first stitch on the other side and then chain 1. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go in the back loop of this side and the back loop of this side, and we're just going to slip stitch. So I'm picking up a stitch from this side and I'm picking up a stitch from this side, the very first stitch from the hook, and I'm going to slip stitch and chain 1. Now we're going to skip. We're going to skip the next stitch. We're going to pick up the next stitch, the back of this side and the back on this side, and we're going to slip stitch and chain 1. Again, we'll pick up the back loop on this side and a back loop on this side, and we're going to slip stitch and chain 1, and we're going to do that all the way across. We're going to pick up a stitch on this side, pick up a stitch on this side, and then slip stitch and chain 1. And this is going to, when I get a little farther here, I'll show you how that's going to make that look. Oops. It's going to make it look pretty much seamless. Okay, so let me show you this real quick. So doing it that way, it gives you the ridge matches, so you can see that the ridge matches. It's a little bit higher, but you're not going to be able to tell. And then if you flip it over, you can't really see it on this side either. It goes down where it's supposed to. This goes down, this goes down, this goes down. So it goes down where it's supposed to go down. So that's just a little sneak peek on how it's going to look when you get to the end. So we'll continue on, and we'll pick up the back stitch here. Where did I leave off? There. Okay, back stitch here, slip stitch, chain 1. I did my starting chain a little bit too tight, so I'm having to kind of poke it through. Whoops. Yeah, I did my starting chain a little too tight. And then I'll show you how to gather the top once we get to the end, if I ever get there. Keep picking up both of those stitches. I love the look of this hat. I do. It's a really fast hat, and it gives it a little bit of interest. There's, of course, your basic single crochet all the way across hat that's great for beginners. It's a great beginner hat. But I liked the way this turned out. And we're almost to the end. And in the very end, just slip stitch. And then I just do an extra loop. And I leave a long tail for weaving in, or for tightening up the top of the hat. So we'll do that and pull it through. So that's what that looks like on this side. And you can see that it looks pretty even with the rest of the ribs on the hat. And on the other side, the same thing. And you can see that it's there, but it's not super duper obvious. So, all right. Okay, so now we're going to close up this top. So I want the rib that we just did, I want that on the inside. So I want to flip the hat inside out like this. And then I'm going to thread my yarn needle. So in between all of these stitches is one obvious single loop. See that? Just one obvious single loop between the rows. So we're going to just go in to that loop and out. Go in from the back and out. Should have wove that in. And we're going to do this all the way around. Here, let me get rid of this real quick. Get this out of the way. It's going to be a jerk. There. That's a good place for it. So, see those loops right there? Just like a single loop right there. You're just going to do this all the way around. Sometimes I just go like this, do 3 at a time. And then give it a tug when your string gets too short. Or when your yarn gets too short. I'm okay. So you can do one at a time, like that. All right, and we are now, yeah, we are now at the end. So now I'm going to bring this guy back to the front here. So kind of straighten out all of your rows and then just gather that. So because I have this, my starting yarn there, what I like to do is just tie it in just a regular old square knot. I'm going to weave these ends in, but I like to tie there, and that's all for that. And then I just find the little center and I weave the yarn around that circle, like so. I leave a little bit of a hole because I usually put a pom-pom on these, and it makes it easier to pull the pom-pom elastic through. Okay, so I've gone around again, and now I'm going to do another square knot. All right, and now I'm just going to weave these ends in somewhere. I'll just weave them in right here. I go back and forth 3 times. 1, 2, oops, and 3. Okay, I'm going to cut this one and I'm going to leave this one because I'm going to use that. Well, actually, I'm going to leave. No, I'll cut that one. Because what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to put a toggle button here for the pom-pom. So let me go get a pom-pom and I'll be right back. Okay, I found a few pom-poms. I was kind of undecided, but the white kind of looks good. But this multicolored one looks okay too, and the brown looks okay. I think I'll do this one. I'll do this color. So the toggles that I like to use are these kind of toggle buttons. Whoops. They're not they have the little, they're easier to sew on than a regular button. You can use a regular button, but I like to use a yarn needle, and the yarn needles go through those little toggles a little bit easier. So I just use that thread and I get a yarn needle. I'm going to use the yellow one. And then I just kind of sew it on there. No special way. Whoops. And then I just kind of sew it in the center. No special way, just make sure it's secure. Go through the button, go through the hat, go through the button, go through the hat, and then I save a little loop here, whoops, and put it through the loop and then tie a knot. Tie another knot underneath that knot. Where did my other needle go? And then I weave in those ends. Nope, I'm gonna have to use my, I don't know if you guys use weaving shuttle or weaving shuttles, but they are my absolute favorite. I have to show you mine. This is my weaving shuttle. I have used this to the point where it's deformed. I love these. They get the tiniest ends in. If you have to weave in really small ends, it's just great. So I'm just going to weave this back and forth here 3 times. Cut that. Okay, so there is our button to hold our pom-pom, because the pom-poms have these little elasticy things on them. So okay, there's our button in the center. And so I usually just put my crochet hook in the center and then pick up the loop on the pom-pom and pull the loop through to this side. It might take a couple of times because you're going to get stuck on some of the yarns. There we go. And then just hook it onto that button. Like so. And that way they can remove it. People who buy it can remove it when they wash the hat. And then there's the row that we joined, and you can see it blends in very nicely. Just looks like normal. I mean, it's a little bit more raised than the other ones, but you're not going to be able to tell. So I did this a little bit larger. This is 60 rows. I think for just a normal size, I mean, it'll fit a normal size head, but it'll be a little bit sloppy. I would do 54 rows, or depending on what yarn you use and whatnot. But let me zoom out a little bit. So there it is. The Grit Beanie with a pom-pom. Now, if you want to put a little embellishment, I had a cat on the other one, and here is another cat. You can put any kind of button. I have these made with love little I'm not picking the right color, but handmade with love. Things that you can put on there on the edge. I have all different kind of buttons. Here's a butterfly. It's kind of cute to put on there. I think I'll use that because it matches the pom-pom really well. And then you just sew those on wherever. I usually put that seam that we did. Where is it? Here. I usually put that in the back. And then I'll put the butterfly somewhere here. So, and then I just use when I do that, I just use the leftover piece, and I pull one of the threads off and use that. Let's see if this will fit through. No, it will not. I need a smaller needle. Maybe this one. So I'll sew that on real quick. If I get this needle threaded. So I will, there's the back of the hat. I think I will put it right about here. So okay, and then I just tie that off. And there you have it. Cute little Grit Beanie hat. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video and learning how to make the Gritty Beanie. I really enjoyed making it, and it's a great project for last minute gifts or to sell or to donate. You can make it in a couple hours. You don't have to put a pom-pom. You don't have to put a little cute little button. You can just make it, and it's just a great project. So please like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more content. And please share it with anybody that you think might be interested in it. And let me know in the comments of things that you would like me to make, because I can make just about anything. And so if you have something that you want to learn how to do, or if there's, you know, something that has been on your mind, just let me know, and I'll see if I can put it on the list of things that I want to do. My next video is going to be on crow hook. And so that'll be a lot of fun. I'm having fun working on a crow hook project. So again, please like, subscribe, and share. It really helps my channel. I'm going to be doing this. My retirement is coming up in a couple years, and I want the channel pretty established by the time I quit my main job, which I'm a hairstylist. I was a salon owner until last year, and I sold. So I'm getting on to the retirement thing. So I appreciate all of your comments and your likes and your help, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.